Hey everyone, today I want to talk about being a generalist and embracing the best aspects of what it means to be interested in many different things, even though it oftentimes can feel very difficult to be out there in the market as somebody who just doesn't have that super deep focus. And I'm somebody where my interests tend to wax and wane. I feel like I find things that I just obsess over for about a year or 2 years, and then I've gone so deep that suddenly I actually want to move on. And because of this, I would label myself as somewhat of a generalist. I have many different interests, and the difficulties that come with that I want to talk about today for how you can mitigate them in being more seen by the market, despite what appears to be a type of ADD. But first, let's jump into the benefits of being a generalist. Maybe the specialist types, those people who have always known what they wanted to do since they were a kid, maybe they don't realize all the benefits that there are to being somebody who is a generalist. And the first benefit of being a generalist is that you learn super fast. I find that people who have a wide variety of interests in part have a lot of different interests because they pick up things really quickly. So the first benefit of being a generalist is that you learn super quick. You typically learn faster than your peers. At least that's been my experience in being a generalist. Now, the second aspect of being generalist that I really appreciate is how easily it allows you to connect with anybody else. Maybe you're somebody who you go to parties and it just seems like anybody you meet, anybody you talk to, you can hit it off with because you know something about their field or you're interested in their field. Maybe they're an author writing about history and you had a history phase that you're really geeking out about. Maybe it's somebody who's into astronomy and you had some phase where you bought a telescope and went really deep on astronomy. I find that generalists have the skill of just generally being able to connect with people easily because of the wide variety of interests that you have. It gives you something to talk about with anybody you meet. The last benefit, the third benefit of being a generalist is that it's super fun. Life has so much to offer. There's so much to experience. There's so many different subjects that you can study. There's so many different authors out there that you can go deep on. And I just generally find that it's really enjoyable to be a generalist because there's so many things that I just find enjoyable that I'm curious about. And the world is like this never-ending amazing place with just constant stimulation to feed that interest and that curiosity. However, as we know, it's not always easy to be the generalist. Society wants you to fit in this neat box. They want you to have a very fixed identity, a fixed career. They want to understand exactly what it is that you do, and that can be really difficult when you're trying to talk to people. Maybe you're at a party and they say, so, tell me about what you do, or what type of line of work are you in? And that question just feels awkward because it's like, well, I do a lot of different things. And do I really want to tell them about the book I'm writing, about the YouTube channel I have, about how I'm, heading out of the country to go study this historical site? Do I really want to bring up all of those different things? And so the first tip for embracing being a generalist is to learn to package it. Now, I know that you might have many different things, all of which you're very excited about, that you want to share. You want to tell people about the book. You want to tell people about the YouTube channel. You want to tell people about the new workout thing that you're up to. But if we can learn to package what our current area of focus is in a way that somebody else can understand without giving them the entire picture right away, I've just found that it's much easier to communicate with other people. And so when people ask me questions that are more broad about what I'm interested in, what I do, what am I working on, I like to think about how can I give them just a snapshot of one of the areas that I'm interested in that I can connect with them on most. So I want to identify and go deep on the one area they can really connect with them on. So they might ask something like, so tell me about what you do. Say, I actually have a lot of different projects in the works, but I'm curious, have you ever thought about writing a book before? That's something that I'm going through as a process right now. And by isolating that one sliver, by moving just to talking about what it means to write a book, maybe I can find something to connect with that person on. They say, oh, well, I've never written a book before. What's that like? And now we're in this discussion. Now we're talking about what it means to write a book, and we're going really deep in that one area. They leave the conversation thinking, wow, that's really cool. That person is writing a book and maybe I learned something. Or, that was interesting that person asked me about my favorite books and I got to tell them about the genre that I like. Isolate and package just the one area, deliver that as the form of initial connection, And I think it'll just go much better in the conversations you're having. Now, the extra bonus for this is also how this works in the marketplace. If you're trying to sell something like a service, we know it doesn't make sense to tell them that you've got 10 different offerings. Instead, package and give that person you're speaking with, give that audience member, that community, just the one sliver that they're really going to connect with. And that'll allow you to build a relationship without going so broad and being difficult to understand immediately. Now, the second way to improve how you think about packaging your generalism and translating it to other people or the market is to think about the deep themes that really contextualize your work. And you can think about it this way. There might be somebody who's a specialist, and let's say they're a golfer. Really, they're just obsessed with the game of golf. They play every day. They know everything about the game. They're really deep. That is what a specialist might look like. However, a generalist might have a deep interest in single player sports. Maybe you like tennis, maybe you like swimming, and maybe you like golf. Now, what is it that is the through line, the thread between all of those different sports that look like a wide variety of interests? Well, of course, they're single player sports. And so you might talk with somebody who is very interested in golf, and you might say to them, "Oh, that's interesting, you play golf. I'm really into the mindset of single player sports. I love watching ping pong on the Olympics on television. I love working on learning how to swim because of what it does to you mentally." And what you're doing is you're taking that generalism and you're creating more of a concrete context, a through line, a question that you can lean on that makes the generalism not so wide, but actually weaves together your interests in a certain way. And I think this is really an expert skill, is to start to identify for yourself, yes, I have a variety of interests, but what is it? What is the thing that ties those interests together? And then boom, suddenly you've got a single lens, a single question maybe that you are asking yourself continuously that can help you talk about what it is that you do. Now, the last tip for surviving and thriving as a generalist is to simply embrace being on the map at certain points in time. So we might worry about what it looks like in our past to have all of these scattered projects across our history. We might be afraid that in the future, there's also going to be a scattered graveyard of projects out into the future. But if we can just embrace where we are today, being pinpointed today, yes, in the past I was that. Yes, in the future, I might be someone different. I might have a different set of interests. Let me just embrace where I am today. Today, I am a writer. Before, I was a videographer. Tomorrow, I'm somebody who's interested in building nonprofits. Whatever it is, just embrace the phase that you're in today. Own that, own being on the map, own being pinpointed. That's really the thing of discomfort that generalism and people who are generalists can feel, is it feels scary or fearful to have somebody say, "Oh, so you're a photographer. Oh, so you're a writer." And you just want to say, no, I'm all these different things. I have all these different interests. Just embrace what that means to be that today fully, almost as a practice of being very present with who you are today. And in that way, it's almost like you're going deep in that area, even if going deep is only for a year or 2 years or whatever the time frame might be. So just to recap, if you are a generalist, remember that there are many benefits. The world is a big place. It's super fun. You learn super quickly. You can connect with people easily at parties. Don't feel bad about having many different interests. The next thing is to remember that you can package and contextualize parts of yourself in conversations with other people that you meet or the market. You don't have to give them everything right away. Find that one thread that you can connect on and see how that changes how you interact with others in the connection you build. And the last thing is just embrace the phase that you're in today. Don't worry about how it looks in the past or looks in the future, and see if you can identify what the through line is that does connect those things and crystallize it into a question or into an idea that links up your many different interests into one thing. I think you'll be surprised that there probably is something there that you can link up in that way. Now, if I can help you in any way, if you have questions, if you want to discuss this in the comments, feel free to add that below. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. I'll be back again very soon. Thanks.